First-time director, Jamaican-born Diane Robinson makes her debut with her first short film, The Young Vote. She joins us via Zoom live from Miami this morning to tell us all about her story and her film. Hey, Diane, welcome to Smile Jamaica.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I said Jamaican-born, so I want to start there. Tell me a little bit about your Jamaican roots.
So I'm a St. Elizabeth girl. I was born in St. Elizabeth, and I grew up there until I was about 4. And my mother and I moved to Kingston, and I was a student at Southern Mayor Prep.
What?
Actually, that was my first schooling and really good foundation actually for me before I came to the United States.
All right. So you're a trained educator. Tell me what would have inspired your journey from being an educator to filmmaker?
Yeah, such a good question. Everyone asks me that. Why are you doing this? I think from the time I started teaching, I did teach for America a few years out of college. And I was very drawn to teaching because I realized how important education was. I think that was a value I learned in Jamaica at a very young age. And I taught and then worked in the education nonprofit space for about 25 years. And I always took roles that made bigger and bigger impact. And I reached a point where I realized the culture around our schools, around our children was really important. Actually, a lot of that happened while I was at Harvard getting my doctorate. And that's where I became really interested in culture change.
Yeah.
How do we take on some of the narratives that our young people hear that I don't think are very functional in our society? And, that led me to filmmaking. I also found out there was a lot of research on filmmaking that, said that film can influence our behavior, which is not shocking, of course, but I had never really thought about it as a platform for change. So hence what led me to filmmaking in general.
It's interesting you say that because we continue to have discussion about film here in Jamaica and just the need to create our own films. And now you are reinforcing that, what we've been saying in terms of the power of film to effect behavior change. And so is this what inspired this film about the young vote?
I had grown up around super talented young people in Jamaica, in the US. And I was working at Teach for America with all of these other organizations where I was seeing young people doing some of the toughest things in the world. I taught in Compton when I was 23 years old with very little resources. And I was able to make a difference. And so were a lot of other people who did the program I did. So I just didn't believe this narrative, Dahlia, that was going around in 2016 saying, young people really don't care about voting. Young people, they just care about posting on social media.
Yeah.
It's just not the narrative that I had seen, growing up and then also working with young people for most of my adult life. So that's what led me to make this film, because I thought there was another narrative to tell. And to your point, I think it's really important, especially people of color, that we tell our stories.
Correct.
And especially our young people today. I think they need hopeful stories. And I think that's what The Young Vote is. I think it's a film from the perspective of young people of color, who are white, who are Latino, African American, and they're sharing their perspectives on why they vote or don't vote. And I think it reveals a larger story about what's going on in our country right now when it comes to voting.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I liked when I read the information about the film, is it captured young people in different states and having different experiences. And so it gave a broader picture of what affects voter apathy and why they do or do not go out to vote. Is this one of the things you're hoping that at the end of watching the film, audiences would take away, and maybe young people as well, hey, my vote is important and I should go out and vote?
Well, I pray that's what they take away.
Yeah.
I mean, We had our premiere of the film just last month at the American Black Film Festival here in Miami, which was wonderful. It was my first film, first time screening it in front of an audience. And the reception was amazing. It was a really mixed audience generationally. Everyone from my auntie was there to young people, all the young people in the film that I followed came. Mm-hmm. And it was really interesting to hear their feedback. I think people felt they learned something new. I tried to present, I think, bigger picture solutions to how we can change the current reality in terms of the number of young people who are voting. People said they felt inspired, and that they felt hopeful. And for me, I felt like, okay, good. I've done something good, because I think young people, especially all of us, we need more hope right now.
Yeah. I'm sure there must have been some challenges putting this together. What were some of the hurdles you had to overcome, Diane?
Oh, such a good question. So, this was my first film. Yes. So that just learning how to make a film while you were making the film was a challenge. Mm-hmm. But luckily, I had a network of people supporting me, including, all of our executive producers were very experienced at this. So they were sort of guiding me through the process. And then we made the film during a global pandemic and during, the probably unprecedented social unrest in the US and around the world. So it was clearly I had to adjust. I did a lot of shoots virtually like this because of quarantines. So I hired local crews mostly. And I had to, hire multiple crews because, as you said, we shot in multiple states. And so, I was working with people that I had not met also. And, that's challenging as a director in terms of, making sure people are aligned with your vision. But I was very lucky. I had some amazing people who decided to become a part of this. I was also fundraising on my own because it's an independent film. So, I fundraised mostly from people who knew me from my days in education to, friends, family who made donations. So, it was really a very scrappy film in many ways, but I'm really excited we are where we are now because it seems to be resonating with an audience and, that it's clearly timely. So we're actually hoping we have 2 more festivals coming up, Dahlia, in the coming months. Yeah. And what we're hoping is as we go to more festivals, we'll find a partner, a distributor who will help us get a broader audience for the film.
Absolutely. I mean, it focuses on the young vote in America, but I feel there are issues about the young vote that are common to most countries and are relevant to many of us. So we're eager to see it, and I know it's a great film. The feedback's been excellent. So congrats to you, Diane. Where does it go from here? The film bugs bit you, Diane. You're never gonna stop. So what's next for you?
So I have 2 other ideas that I'm working on right now. One of them actually has to do with our beautiful island.
Excellent.
And, I think there's a story I want to tell there because Jamaica has always been very important to me in terms of who I am, my values. And I don't always think that the stories that are told about Jamaica are really, they're not nuanced. Let's put it that way. And they're very sort of one narrative, about our people. And I think our people are, we're beautiful people. We're diverse. We have roots that are connected to all parts of the world. And I grew up hearing this a lot, like we're a small island, but we're a mighty island.
Yes.
And I think the influence of Jamaica has gone around the world. And I want to be a part of sort of telling a story that's different from what we normally hear. And I have an education film in me. I think that's going to take some time for me to work on, but the Jamaica one is pulling me right now. So that's what I'm starting to develop.
That's excellent. Well, look about with Talawa, and people need to see more of that. Diane, congratulations to you, and thank you so much for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Diane, wonderful.
Diane Robinson, social entrepreneur and filmmaker. Yeah.